It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, Mr. Samir Ranjan, a product innovator, thought leader, speaker, entrepreneur, board member, and investor with a wealth of experience in creating data and AI-led products for various industries. Currently, Mr. Sami serves as a Chief Technology Officer and Director of Data Science at Catenate Corp, the creator of Maya Maya and Mira Mira. He is also the founder of Cognitive Sprints, a testament to his entrepreneurial spirit and commitment to innovation. In addition to these roles, Mr. Samir holds the position of board chairman of S3 Private Limited. His leadership and strategic insights have been instrumental in driving these companies forward. Mr. Samir holds a master's degree in data science from Dallas, demonstrating his strong academic foundation. He is an inventor with patents on AI algorithms and is an avid speaker on multiple platforms. His expertise and insights have been featured in magazines, and he is recognized as a thought leader at 3AI and CDAO Circle. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our distinguished speaker, Mr. Samir Ranjan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Monica. Thank you. Uh, I hope I think it's good evening as well as good morning to the people joining from the various part of the world. And without a further ado, let's start our presentation. And okay, great. Okay, so let's start. Our topic today that I wanted to discuss with everyone is what is digital data twin and how it can help you transform the human skill transformation. Right. There is a very simple strategy that we are going to follow, which is first we will understand what is digital data twin. Then we will basically see the applications of where we are applying these algorithms, these methods, and then we will see how we can use the digital data twin to find out how the human skill transformation will work. Before I start my presentation, I want to give a brief insight about why we are doing this. Right? You all might have seen how the world is changing. You all might have seen how the skill demand is changing. We earlier didn't used to hire the knowledge workers. We will hire people and will make them knowledge worker so that over a period of time we have, if we hire 100 people, out of that we will expect the 5 will stick back in our company, and those will be our long-term employees. But the current market scenario has changed, right? The long-term employees are people who work for at least 3-4 years in the company, right? Nobody is now trying or even thinking or looking to hire someone who can work for 20 years in a company. Reason because our technology, our skills are changing every day. And when these kinds of things happen, the one thing that everybody needs to do is to understand uh, how to manage and how to find people on whom you can add more and more learning ability, and they are going to deliver. So, and there is no quantitative method to do it. Reason because you cannot do a lab rat analysis on something that has an effect on a very longer term. For example, until unless you don't do a bachelor's degree for 4 years, you cannot start your master's degree, right? And if you do bachelor's in chemical engineering, then you can become a chemist, right? You cannot become an architectural engineer because that is logically not possible, right? So to do all those things, we basically started creating something that we call digital data twin, which means a system of information which has the similar personality, similar soft skill, and similar technical skills of a person. And we try to put stimulus to it, which might be new education, which might be new skill, and see how that personality and how the soft skill is reacting to it. And based on that, we can try to find out few more hidden elements so that we can start creating the knowledge worker. But before we start that, let's start with what is digital data twin, right? So there are basically three components to it, right? Which is there is first component is what it represent, right? And the concept of digital data twin came from the healthcare world. We all see the rise of COVID last couple of years ago, right? And we wanted a vaccine as fast as soon as possible, right? If you remember, it was a virus, right? The virus usually takes at least 10 years to show on a trial like what is happening, whether it is right or not. The efficacy of vaccine needs a long time to prove. But we were able to get vaccine in 6 months to 1 year time. Why? Because we were able to run multiple experiments on multiple use cases by creating digital twins, which is we will basically add all the health element in form of a data to a human. And then when we add vaccine in form of a data to it, we don't we don't have to have a guinea pig, we don't have to have a rat, we don't have to inject anything to anyone, and we'll be still able to see how the changes are happening. And the biggest help is it is cost reducer, it doesn't involve anyone dying, and the most important thing is it speeds up the process, right? And you can predict and you can try to find what can happen as close to the real world, right? You might have seen that there are a lot of integrations that is happening around the world, right? And that one thing that we call is internet of things, right? Which is basically our mobile is connected to the light is connected to the weather is connected to the thermostat. When everything is connected, why not our education should be connected to us digitally? And when I say that, I don't mean it is the digital platforms of the world where people can join online and study anything. I talk here about how to find what to study, because I think we live in a world where misinformation is a bigger problem than the information. We all have so much information at our disposal, we even don't know what is right and what is wrong. So, how to justify that? Is there any method by which we can predict if we learn data science, we can become a data scientist? This is one of the issue that you all might have seen across the world, that every single person in the world wants to become a data scientist. Why? Because this is the coolest job in the world. But is it? And can anyone and everyone become a data scientist? Because I never heard that every one of us can be a civil engineer, or every one of us can be a mechanical engineer, or a mining engineer, right, or an electrical engineer. Because any and every kind of study is often related to what kind of person we are, and we need to understand those personalities, we need to understand who we are to find out what all we can do. uh, you might have seen how the car design works, right? Nobody goes to the scrape mat, nobody goes and take the scrape metal and start creating the car. You always start with designing the element and trying to replicate as many use cases possible on that design element rather than the actual car, because the actual car cost you money, cost you time. But the design is the easiest part, because it's something which is usually less costly and you can run experiments, right? The role of a scientist is basically running the experiment. And same way we should look at our skills also. Uh, we all have seen what kind of people come and work in our companies. We have all seen like what kind of skills are required to go into certain direction. But can we try to find out what kind of people we have who can learn those skills? You all might have seen the advent of AI in 2023 changed a lot of things, right? During COVID times, every company overhired, right? And when AI came into the play, the hiring needs went down. Now we don't need that many people, and that is the factual truth. We need people who are very agile, who are very quick, who can do end-to-end development. Do we have those kind of people? The answer is yes. The people who have job right now are those kind of people. But what happens to the 90% of the mass who don't have that skill? How quickly those skills can be developed? How should it be developed? Do we have enough data to understand what kind of people we have? And when we look at all these parameters, the answer comes back to that we don't actually care about the human skill part, rather than we always cared about the technical skills part, right? We always wanted to hire the best Java developer in the world, but we never thought about whether the best Java developer in the world is the best learner or not, because he or she might not know the Java better, but what if Java is not existent anymore, right? you need something new. You need Python, right? Can that guy learn Python in 3 week time, in 4 week time, in 3 month time, 4 month time, so that that person can come back and start implementing it? The answer is most of the organization don't know this because they go with a gut feeling, right? You all might have seen that people come and say that improve your soft skill, and then they go and take a course on communication skills. But soft skills are a lot more than that. Soft skills are not just communication skill. It might be as simple as presentation skill to as complicated as adaptability. Adapting to a situation is a soft skill. But are there any method to judge it? The answer is yes, there are methods. But there are a lot of challenges that comes with it, right? Which is basically the ethical consideration. Do you think with the help of a digital twin, we can hire better, but there is also a chance we can fire better also. We can exactly find the people whom we should fire, right? And who draws the line there, right? A needle can be used to draw the blood also, a needle can be used to murder people also, right? It just depends on where you stand in your life, at what juncture, and what you choose as the truth, right? Ethics is always uh, depend it always have a focal point from which some or the other is getting benefited, right? AI can do a lot of things. Can we add all the data of the internet and train AI on it and try to create a better system? The answer is yes. But do you think that whole of internet is filled with lot of wrong data and the misjudged data rather than the correct data? Who draws the line there and who finds out which is right and which is not? Hey, so this is the biggest challenge that we always had, and this is the challenge that we will always have with any and every kind of data framework. But it doesn't mean that we should stop what we are doing and then just pray to the God that one day we will create a framework by which we'll be able to solve all the problems. The issue is we still need to start with our experiment. We still need to move ahead with a metric system so that we can make sense out of the world rather than feeling helpless and hopeless. Now let's see where the application of digital data twin has came and why it has been successful. The biggest one has been in the healthcare. Right? Most of the doctors do practice on the dummy system, right? It's not a real body. They'll come and they'll practice operations on it, right? We all might have played a game in the childhood that was named operations, right? Why? Because if you are working on an element which makes sure that you learn the skill and nobody dies, that's the best form of learning that you can have, right? Now, we all, most of the people being in IT, we always think that our worst thing is server crash, right? Our uh, worst thing that can happen in our business is product getting delayed, right? But usually in the domains which are related to the human life efficacies, like healthcare, like defense, you cannot work on the chances that, okay, out of 20 times, 5 times it will work. You cannot have those kinds of logic there. So to do so, to increase your efficacy, we usually try to add a lot of data and create a system which looks just like human. And then you can add machine, the medicine and the machine and different component of services like surgery in form of data to that system. What it does is data and data always react and try to find out a equation, right? Which is whether when you add a medicine to a data system, you will find that whether it might be reacting to the stimuli or uh, it might not be reacting to the stimuli. Based on the reaction, you try to classify the reaction, whether it is a positive reaction or a negative reaction. Based on that, you can start finding what all element you need in a better medicine, and you are able to monitor what is happening and what is not happening in the system. One observation that people are seeing nowadays is that our average human life expectancy is increasing almost every year. The reason? Because we are able to do advancement in the healthcare. Earlier, if I remember correctly, 20, 25 years ago, we didn't used to have a better cancer medicines. But now we have a better cancer medicine. Why? Because we are able to generate a lot of data, and with that data, we are able to add a lot of mathematical computation in form of medicine and trying to find a better solution uh, for the cancer, right? And if we can do something like that, the education becomes a little easier to worry on it, right? Which is we all are seeing a new wave of schooling system which is very personalized based on how you look like, based on how you perceive information, based on what is your best mode of learning. We are trying to create personalized learning for people around the world. But at the same time, we need to develop our teachers also, because they are also part of this digital transformation. Do we have teacher who understand technology, and do we have teacher whose learning methods can be morphed into something which looks like technology? And if we can do that, can we look at how the students are reacting to it? Uh, the normal the normal exams that happens after the end of academic year might not be the only solution, might not be the only answer that we are looking, because those are one time thing. Can we create a continuous exam system which is not like the traditional exam where nobody is mugging up, but we are actually assessing what they have learned and how much they have learned? If I'll give you a course on communication skill, and if you'll come back and say yes, I did it, do I know on a scale of 1 to 10, your communication was 5, did it become 6, or did it become 7, or worse, it became 3 or 4, right? I don't have a metrics to do that. Or I didn't used to have a metrics to do that, but now we have solutions. We have solutions which can help you out, basically understand where you stand in your life in terms of your skills, which is not technical. Now, most often in an organization setting, we have mentors. We have people who are there to guide us. The issue is all those people who are guiding us, they guide us on the basis of their gut, right? That this is the instinct that we are having, and let's go ahead and guide it. But we have seen in usually this is the data that we have seen, which is out of 10, 8 people usually give the wrong information because they try to create the same pathway that they had for the mentees they are mentoring. But that is usually not possible because there were other variables involved in how you grew up or how you attained those skills. Is there any way by which we can add those skills as the data parameters and try to find out whether we can actually create a pathway for them, right? We all aspire to have a greater career, and we all try to copy someone whom we love and whom we admire. But the issue is you cannot, because you don't know the other parameters that have affected the journey. But if we are calculating the data on the three legs of the tool, which is their personality and the soft skill and the technical skills, will be able to find the causations, right? We might not be able to find the exact correlation, but even if we are able to find the causation, we will be able to do something that we call performance optimization, because we will know when XYZ thing happens in someone's life, what are the 3 or 4 soft skill or the technical skills or the personality that changes rapidly. For example, someone might become a better storyteller after their heartbreaks. Is it possible? Maybe. Is there any data to support it? We don't know it yet. But is it a good hypothesis to check our statistics on? The answer is yes, because if somebody can collect all the data on it and try to find the inflection point, we will be able to understand how certain situation in our life affect our various skills. And the most important part is succession planning, right? We usually forget to nurture the people whom we are mentoring. We try to mentor them so hard that we try to create a pathway for them and we try to enforce them to run on that pathway. But most often or not, there are multiple roads to reach the same destination. And that is only possible when you nurture the new talent, nurture the workforce that you have. And how to nurture them? By understanding them. most of the people who join the organization, or let's say people who leave the organization, we always think, is it either a bad manager or a bad salary? But what if both are not the condition? It might be the bad mission that your company has. There might be people who just come into the company to work for the mission. They don't care about the salary. They don't care about the people whom they work with. How to find those people? How to understand those people? To do that, you need to understand who they are as a person. And when you do that, the management of workforce becomes easy, because now you are not dealing with your hypothesis, you are dealing with the real data assumptions. And the real data assumptions actually help you verify whether your assessment of that person is right or not. Now, digital data twin has been a huge part in sports also, which is basically for the tactical analysis, right? If you watch any sport, there are statistics which says that 80% of the players perform well if they have XYZ things, right? How we know it? Because we have enough data on it. We also know how much time it takes for a player to recover. If you have seen all the player management companies, they basically work on the point three, which is how they can find out how quickly their players can recover and be available for the next match, because that's where the big money is, right? The money is always in the churners, right? How well you can keep your engine running. And when you understand that logic, the economics of the business becomes very easy. Now let's come to the last part of the section, and we'll take a couple of minutes to just summarize whatever uh, we have I have talked till this point. This is basically everything and anything that we have requires two main important points, which is continuous improvement. Are we improving continuously? If we are not improving continuously in this day and age, most often we are going to lose the battle against the evolving technology. But believe it or not, nobody is going to stop the innovation. Innovation is going to happen. AI is coming to come and do all the things that it is supposed to do. But we need to understand, as the scientists, we need to understand as the leaders of the company, are we providing equal opportunities for all the people who are there? Are we trying to develop the skills that we need to develop of our workforce? And if we are, have we chose the right path for them? If we haven't chose the right path for them, we are basically going to fire them after 6 months, because we will find they're not suitable to our requirement when we even didn't know what we require. And to do so, we need to create multiple digital data twins in forms of technical skills, in form of soft skill, in forms of personality, and try to map out the reason, try to map out the sources to it, so that we can create a future ready people, right? Which is, they're not scared of changes and they are able to adapt to the changes much quickly than anticipated. Now, of course, the ethical consideration and the governance of data and regulatory and the transparency all come into the picture. And this might be very government driven, because every government has a different outlook on the ethical consideration. For some, missile might be a defense system, for some, missile might be an attack system, right? So government has to come into the middle and try to define what they call upskilling, what they call data transformation, what they call workforce transformation. Then only we can have a system in which industry, the workforce, and the governance can be part of this singular triangle, and we can achieve what we want to achieve, which is basically a better skill development, a better learning platforms, and over and all, a better ecosystem in which growth is not scared of market change. There are a lot of challenges that we discuss, which is usually it comes down to the change management, because it's not easy to change a system which has been there for 100 years, 50 years, right? Because nobody wants to adapt to the change so quickly. But when that market is changing rapidly, change is the only option. If you don't change, you lose the business, you lose the job, you lose the people. And once you lose either people, you're not going to get back, because economic condition might be bad, but people who come and work for you, uh, their success and your success depends on what kind of mindset they are bringing along. If they bring down a mindset where they're always scared of getting fired from the job, uh, they are going to leave the job much sooner than later. That's all about my presentation. Thank you so much for listening patiently. And if you have any question, anything, please reach out to me.
Congratulations, Dr. Ranjan, for most beautiful presentation.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you, Samir. That's a great presentation.
Thank you.